The life lessons, challenges, and defining moments that shaped his voice as an author. Each episode explores the inspiration behind his books, the purpose in every story, and features select passages that bring his message to life. Meet his incredible friends and learn where his books are available, and how to stay connected as his future projects continue to unfold. So relax, settle into the groove, and let the jazz guide you into his world of storytelling and truth. Powered by SKST Radio Network and Street Grind Entertainment.
Well, hello, welcome back again. This is Anthony Owens. I'm here for my weekly Books by Anthony Owens podcast show. And today I'm honored to have Mr. Andy Rich here. He's a good friend of mine. I met him some time ago. As a matter of fact, I used to do a Lyft and Uber back in the day, and he was one of my passengers. And, long story short, I've known him for a few years now, and he's a really wonderful guy. And so today, like I said, I had the pleasure of having him here today, and we're going to talk about real estate. He knows all things realty, right? Realty. And so without further ado, so tell me who you are, and tell me, just basically tell me who you are.
Thank you, Anthony. Well, first of all, thank you very much for having me. It's been an honor and a pleasure. You mean a lot to me as a person, and I'm very proud of the things you've done with your books and stuff. So I feel very honored.
Thank you.
Andy Rich, Cova Home Realty. Been in real estate for almost 12 years. Do a little bit of everything. Do resale with buyers and sellers. Do a lot of work with investors, flipping properties, turning them over, and reselling them. And before that, I was 20 years project manager in commercial construction.
So what inspires you to be a realtor?
I needed a job.
That's always a good start, right?
Yeah, I don't think you and I have ever talked about this. I had been laid off after 20 years and needed to do something. And, I was a structural steel guy, so it was very unique. There was only 2 companies, maybe 3 companies in the area that did it kind of thing. So trying to get back into that same business, I thought would be difficult. And I'll be honest with you, I think God laid them. I'll tell you the story if you want. I don't want to drag this on, but it just kind of came to me that was the way I could be self-employed and help other people as well. And that's kind of how it all started.
So in your career, who's your biggest influence? What was there something that, besides not having a job and needed an income, what else? I mean, and you wanted to help people as well, right? Was there anything that motivates you in addition to those things?
Well, first thing I did was I reached out to my friend Virginia, who was the only other real estate agent I knew. And she called me immediately and she said, Andy, I think you'd be great at it. And she's like, where are you? And in 15 minutes, we were sitting at Starbucks. And she said, we just started a new company and I think you'd be a great fit. And she really encouraged me. So I was actually framing houses for work while I went to school online. So I framed houses during the day and come home at night and study and passed my exam and went and worked with the same company she was with. And because I was the only person I knew, and she took good care of me.
It's always good to have someone who encourages you, right? Who stick behind you and know that, give you that encouragement saying that you can do it, right? And so it goes a long way, right? Because a lot of times people just need that push to say, you know what, hey, you can do it. I believe in you. And then they'll go out there and at least give it their best effort, right? So,
yes.
So I got a lot of things we're going to discuss.
Yeah, let's dig into it.
So with today's housing market, right? So what does the current real estate market look like?
It's strong. Actually, I don't look at numbers a whole lot, but I looked at numbers today. At least what I can tell you is Hampton Roads. I think it gets confusing sometimes with people. You look at national news. I don't think Hampton Roads is the same because of our such military presence. We have so much military and so many government contractors and all the suppliers for them and the people that work at those companies. And then even in the last 10 years or so, we've had UPS and FedEx and QVC and all those companies blow up. So I hesitate to use this term, but I think we're a little bit recession proof from a lot of the country because we're always going to have people coming in and out. So we're always going to have turnover.
Because of the military, right?
Because of the military.
Right.
And I'll give you one point, not to be too long-winded. I was looking today at current inventory for Hampton Roads. The benchmark they typically use is they go past 12 months, how many houses sold in the last 12 months, and then they look to see how much are for sale now, and they ratio like a 6-month inventory. So as of today, it would take 6 months to sell the inventory that we have. And that's the benchmark of a buyer's market versus a seller's market. Right. Anything beyond 6 months is a buyer's market because there's more inventory. We have about a month and a half of inventory right now. So inventory is low. It's still a buyer's market.
So obviously that was going to be my next question. Which one do you believe is if it's a buyer market or seller's market? It's clearly a buyer, right?
It's a buyer's market. A lot of people have some heartburn now about the rates that they see, but the rates we saw a few years ago are probably once in a generation. I don't think you and I will ever see anything like that again.
No, I don't think so either. Question. So what surprises first-time buyers the most from what you've seen? Like, what are they normally shocked by when they?
Good question. What surprises them? I think the two things, and the total opposite. One, I think it's a whole lot easier than they think it's going to be.
Right.
They think they've got to have 25% down, for the mortgage. And then I think that it's more complicated than they think. I get calls all the time, why do I have to do this? Why do I have to do that? I'm like, well, you're getting ready to borrow $300,000 from someone. They want another bank statement. Right.
So that leads to my other question. Says, what's the biggest mistakes that first-time buyers make? And obviously, some of them thinking like just too easy, or it's going to just be
don't buy a new truck right before you get ready to close on a house.
That's a good idea, right?
Things like that. Just once you start the process, I'll always start when I meet someone, especially first-time home buyers. The first thing I do is get them in front of a good loan officer with a good mortgage company. And once you start that process, then you really want to just be conscious of where you spend your money, how you spend your money. Try not to take on any additional debt if you don't have to. Wait until you close on your house, then go buy that new truck.
So you hear all this hype about credit scores and getting great credit scores. How important is that?
It's important, but probably not as important as people think. I think probably the scores, and I don't keep up with that. I let my loan officers do that. But you don't have to have perfect credit. You don't have to have an 800 credit score. There's variances. The better your credit score, you might get a little bit better rate, right, but it doesn't mean you can't get a loan at all.
Right.
So what I would recommend is, shoot me an email, give me a call. I can put you in front of a good mortgage company, a good loan officer, and they can do a pull on your credit that doesn't even show up on your credit report, a soft pull, and kind of get you. That's where I usually get everyone started.
So you may or may not know this, right? Are there programs available to help first-time buyers, right? Because I wouldn't expect you to know all of those.
Yeah.
Just like one or two or something.
Yeah, I don't know all of that. Again, I leave that to my loan officers because right, that's their lane. But there are programs out there. They kind of come and go. A lot of them are state funded. Some of them are federally funded, and you'll see programs. And then once that money's gone, then they have to wait for more money to come in. So again, like your loan officer would be more up on what's out there. Like something that's out there today that I may tell someone about a month from now, that money could be dried up and you're not be able to get those funds. But typically they can help with down payment, or closing costs, something like that, depending on your income and credit.
So what improvements, right, give homeowners the best return on investment? like a lot of times people will do all these different add-ons and
Yeah.
you know, what do you think is the best improvement that
Yeah.
can actually help?
Yeah, I see that a lot when I walk into people's homes and they're thinking to sell. I'm kind of a minimalist with that. Improvements. I would say the number one thing is whatever you have now, keep it running, keep it current. Do the maintenance on your HVAC and heat.
That's important.
Keep your roof cleaned off. Don't let pine straw and snow or whatever sit up there. Keep your attic ventilated like it should be. I would say update the things that you have, and then the basic stuff. You know, if you wanted to spend money on the kitchen, that's always going to hold the value. If you want to update your appliances, there's a little bit of value there, and it makes it a little easier to sell.
Okay. And that leads into my other questions: and what makes a home stand out in today's market? And those are some of the things you just mentioned, right?
Yeah, yeah. So I think right now, for the homes that we are selling, I try to get my contractors to understand, like, to make it nice. Like you've got first-time home buyers coming in, you know, give them nice cabinets, give them a nice kitchen, give them an accent wall. It costs pennies on the dollar to do something like that.
And curb appeal helps too, right? You know, because you know when someone pulls up, they want to see a nice, well-groomed yard. And
oh yeah, absolutely. So I joke all the time, like I'm the one stuck trying to sell that thing. So so spend an extra couple $100 on bushes and cut the grass,
right,
and clean the sidewalk up.
So we talked about your story a little bit. Today's housing market, first-time home buyers selling a home, now investing in real estate.
Yeah.
Is real estate still one of the biggest ways to build wealth?
My personal opinion, and I'm no financial advisor, and I don't have a lot of wealth, but my personal opinion, especially in this area, it's got to be towards the top, if not the top, way you can invest your money, even for little cost. You can, a first-time home buyer can you know, buy a condo for 5% down, and I think it's 5 years. I don't know. There's a guideline to how, you know, how long you can hold it, but you can rent that thing out for the rest of your life if you wanted. And the returns on average in Hampton Roads, again, don't hold this to me. Hold me to this, because I don't. This isn't my lane. But I would definitely say we're between a 5 to 8% increase every year for probably the last 12 years. In Hampton Roads on prices. All you have to do is go look at what a house costs now, right? Compared to what it did 5 years ago.
Yeah,
and you know, I don't know where else you could put your money and gain 5 to 7%, almost guaranteed, year after year.
But that's also dependent on the market too, because you know things can happen. Sometimes you know everything drops, the prices drop, or they go up. So it varies, right? So
in this area, it varies very little.
Yeah, because of the stability.
Again, that's the protection we have. I think just from so much military and people constantly going in and out, buying and selling and such. So yes, overall nationally, it's probably, I'm sure those numbers are quite a bit lower, but in this area, we've consistently seen that type of increase for many years.
What advice would you give someone buying their first investment property?
Oh, good question. It's a broad question. So I'm going to try to narrow it down. Just stay within your means. You know, buy your little condo or townhouse or whatever you think you can afford. And then, you know, there's so many types of investment properties. Do you want to buy something and hold it and rent it out? Do you want to buy it and fix it up and resell it? That's the most risky, is flipping them. So if you're going to do that, you got to have a good contractor. You've got to have a good idea of what kind of money you're going to spend before you go in. If you start right, you can do okay. If you start wrong, it's really hard to make that up in the end.
So if you notice, there's a pattern to these questions I'm asking you, because a lot of times when you give me the answer, it already answers my next question, right? Which is like, what are some common mistakes do new investors make?
It's like and I didn't have the list. It's like we practiced this.
Right. No, we didn't. No, we didn't.
Or you made a really good list, huh?
Yeah, I thought about this, and I wanted to ask questions that people would generally want to know, right?
Yeah, yeah, and I didn't know you were going to ask me all these questions. They're good questions. So yeah, you know, the biggest thing is just stay within your means.
Yeah.
And don't, let's say you're going to flip a house. And when I say flip a house, for those that may or may not know, you buy it, you fix it up, and you resell it for a little bit of profit. Don't put a $100,000 kitchen in a 900 square foot house. Just be reasonable with it. You can still put nice cabinets, new appliances,
Right.
like that. But you don't have to get crazy with it.
Right. So now I'm going to transition a little bit. It's just, I'm going to go to the human side of real estate.
Okay, that's my favorite, actually.
Yeah. Okay. So you've probably seen people who had some of the happiest moments of their lives, but also some difficult ones. How do you handle those emotions when you're seeing this or experiencing it?
I listen a lot, or I try to listen a lot. Try to just be supportive. I love first-time home buyers. They're, I was going to go through a couple of different scenarios. First-time home buyers are great. They're very grateful for what you do for them. They're usually very excited. So that's always that's nice, because I get a reward out of that personally. And I treat, especially my younger first-time home buyers, I treat them like they're my own son. At least I try to. And then I've sold houses where there was a death in the family, or divorces, or bankruptcies, that kind of, they're headed for bankruptcy or foreclosure. So, there's definitely a lot of emotion involved. I actually talk about that quite often, the emotion involved in buying and selling with private owners.
And that's right up my alley, because I when I do my podcast, I talk about a lot of things that people go through in life, like death, grief,
getting laid
abuse,
off.
getting laid off, right? Just a number of different things that we as individuals, humans, go through on a daily basis, right?
Yes.
And how we deal with the different traumas and the different struggles and challenges, regardless of who you are, where you live, your nationality, we all go through something, right? And so it's just a matter of people finding resources and the support and the strength to be able to continue on, right?
That's right. I every day I realize there's a lot of emotion involved, and some of it's good and some of it's painful. So I try to be very aware of that, and I try to cater to my clients and help them with that, whatever I feel they may need, or even if they tell me there's something they need. Right.
So let me ask you a question. What is the most memorable client story you experienced? Something that you just can't forget, for whatever it was, good or bad, or indifferent.
Oh boy. Got a lot of them. Let's see, which ones would stick out?
Yes.
I might have to talk for a second until I come up with something.
Well, we can always come back though.
I don't know. I've really enjoyed, again, first-time home buyers, in our military. I had so many amazing military clients that used me to buy their first home, and then they 4 or 5 years later, they get shipped out and they call me back to sell their home. That means a lot to me. I've had some parents that have gotten older or passed, and the kids are left selling the house. That's very emotional. I have that happen quite often.
And then, like, for instance, like that would put a person in a single parent household all of a sudden, right? Now they're a single parent, and so that's difficult as well.
That is, and it is, and I also see a lot of older clients that just can't walk upstairs anymore, so they need a single story home, or maybe an assisted living, or whatever. I've got one personal story where the mom and the dad passed within weeks of each other, and the kids called me and said, we need we need to sell the house, and what do you want to do? Like, and one of the sisters wouldn't even go in the house, which I completely understand. And some of the others were okay, but there's definitely emotion involved, good and bad. There's also emotion involved when the seller doesn't like the numbers you're getting for them.
Well, that's true. That's true.
That's the other side of it.
So, some common myths, right? What's the biggest misconception people have about buying a home?
My first thought was, as you were reading that, was the guidelines to buying a home, getting approved for a mortgage.
The credit score and all
Credit
that stuff.
score, how much you need down. It's a lot simpler than you think. I mean, my parents probably had to put 25% down when they bought their house back in the day, and they probably paid 14, 15% interest rate. It's just not that anymore. So don't be afraid to pick up the phone or shoot somebody a text and go, hey, how do I get started?
Right.
And then not everyone's out to get you. Not everyone who sells a home is trying to get over on you. Most people, they lived there, so they took care of their home. And I work with a lot of contractors that flip homes, and I realize, there can be thoughts about that, but the people that I work with they take a lot of pride in the work they do, and they feel like their name's on it. So typically you get pretty good, you get good quality work.
Are you looking at my list? My next question is it true you need 20% down payment?
It is not. Again, that's not my lane. No, if you have it and you want to put it down, that's fine. It'll reduce, your loan amount, but it definitely is not needed. Again, it isn't my lane, but I think first-time home buyers somewhere probably like 5%. Some might be some programs where you put even less than that, 2.5% or something like that.
That's great too, because a lot of times people don't have that asset available.
And then veterans VA is 0%.
Right.
And not only that, you can get seller compensation over and above that for closing costs or to pay off other debt, things like that. The VA allows like 6 or 7% of the purchase of the price you can get back from the seller. Now it would be baked into the price. You may pay a little more, but if you don't have a lot of cash flow, it's a good program. The VA is a really good program, and a lot of people don't know about it, or they don't know how to get started. You don't have to call the VA. I run into people all the time and say, "Well, I got to call the VA." You don't have to call the VA. Your loan officer will handle all that for you.
Should buyers wait to interest drop before they decide to buy?
So I get this a lot on the buyers and the seller side. When's the best time to buy or sell? And I guess if you ask 10 people, you might get 10 different answers. My opinion is anyone who tells you the future in real estate's lying to you, because there's no way to know. So I've always said, whenever you're ready is the best time to do it. I compare it to proposing to your girlfriend to want to marry her. Is there a best time, or you just do it when you're ready, right?
True.
So if you're buying or selling, I think when you're ready, that's the time to do it. We don't see a huge fluctuation in sales through the year. We're pretty steady in this area all 12 months. So I just think it's best to do it when you're ready. And I know a whole lot more people that regret waiting than they regret going too soon.
Well, for several reasons, right? I mean, the home that you wanted or you could have gotten is no longer available when you decide that you want to do it. Interest rate might go up even further, right?
That's right.
You might lose your job. Anything can happen.
Exactly right. So if you're ready, or even if you're not ready, if you don't know if you're ready, especially as buyers, just get it started.
Yeah.
Everything's online now. If you were to call my loan officer right now, you could even text her. She would answer, even though it's 6 o'clock, 6:30. And she'll probably send you a link to go online, and you can just fill out your information online, and then she'll reach back out to you. It's very painless. And I do not like doing that kind of thing. I don't like talking about my money and my finances and all my bills and all that stuff. So I get it.
So a question, how important is it in getting a pre-approved loan before you start shopping for a home?
It's very important. Number one, it kind of lets everybody know you're serious and you're not just window shopping. And then you don't really know what you're shopping for until you get pre-approved. You might,
or you're limited.
Right. That's what I'm saying. You said it better. You might think that that $250,000 house is fine until you see what the payment's going to be, and then all of a sudden it's not okay. or what I actually see a lot is people can actually afford more than they think they can. So it's kind of like going out to buy a car, no different. You kind of know what your budget is first before you go buy a car. And that's kind of what the pre-approval does. And not only shows a real estate agent, first of all, and then a seller that you're serious, but it also gives you an idea of what your budget is.
So you know what? I'm gonna shift a little bit here.
All right,
give
good.
you a break.
Let's do it.
Let's talk books.
All right.
Have you read any books lately?
I don't read many.
Okay.
I did your audiobook of the fatherhood
Father
book.
Matters?
Yes, sir. I did that. I did audio on that. Great book, by the way.
Do you like it?
I do. And I read your first book,
Syrup Sandwiches.
Sandwich. And I don't know if you remember me telling you my nickname in 5th grade was Now Later.
Really? No, you never told me that.
Yeah. I got caught eating grape Now Laters in gym class. The gym teacher called me Now Later the whole year.
Really?
Yeah. I don't read a lot. I've got some catching up to do on your books. To answer your question, Jordan B. Peterson, I just bought his book, 12 Ways to Something. He's a psychologist or whatever in Canada. You're laughing at me because I don't know the name of the book.
Yeah, that's okay. I mean,
I've always thought, in fact, I think I know, I've struggled with reading comprehension growing up and even as an adult. So I just didn't enjoy reading a lot. So I didn't. Now, I don't know if that's learned or if it's not learned. I don't know if other people deal with that. But if you do, I do too. So you're not alone.
well, and I thought about all these different things too when I was writing. I wanted to make it easier for people who have, difficulties either reading or understanding.
And you did. And what I have found, YouTube is the audiobooks are good. YouTube is a great middle of the road tool for me as well. A lot of times I for my devotions now, a lot of times I'll pull up scripture and read it while it's coming out loud, and I'll read it on the screen as well. And I seem to be able to pay attention a lot easier. But yeah, your books. Tell me the one about you that
short story?
Yeah, tell me about short stories.
Well,
that kind of pertains to that, right?
Yeah, well, it does, because a lot of people unfortunately have a short attention span, right?
Yeah.
Because
All of us now.
Well,
All
yeah,
of us
really,
these days.
because we're becoming so desensitized because so much stuff is happening so fast, and it gets to a point where people just don't have that span of attention that where they can just sit down and either listen to an entire book or read an entire book. And I thought about that. That's why I created, or I wrote a book of short stories.
Yeah.
17 different stories. So it allows people to pick and choose which one they want to read, and they're not too long. So you're not going to be sitting there reading the entire book. So, and it's working out. I think that people like that better.
That's great. I'm looking forward to finding that one and reading that myself. And I can tell you, I read another one of your books.
Oh yeah, that'd be fine. I think it's break time. Let me see. Yes, it's almost break time. And so after the break, on my social media platform, TikTok, for instance, I would go live and I would have a panel of different people, smart people, right?
Yeah.
And people were sending these letters to me anonymously about different issues that they're having in their life, regardless of what it is. Right? And I would read it to my panel, and we'll figure out solutions and things to help that person, including therapy, counseling, whatever they need.
Yeah.
And it's been working out well. So I'm gonna read a letter today as well. So
Great.
We're gonna go ahead and take a break.
Sounds
and
good.
We'll be back after the break.
From the heart of the coast where the waves rise high, Bay magazine we lift and amplify stories of love, of strength, of pride, giving back, standing tall side by side. We are the rhythm, we are the voice, community rising, making bold choice. On short drive we shine, we soar, Bay magazine forever.
I was hoping you would.
Welcome back, everyone. So I'm going to do a bread box letter. I'm going to read it, and you guys can chime in or whatever. And I'm going to ask you what your thoughts on this particular letter.
All right.
It says, "Dear panel, please keep my identity anonymous," which we always do. It says, "I recently found myself in a difficult situation with a close friend, and I'm not sure whether I handled it correctly. For years, this friend and I have been there for each other through good times and bad. Whenever they needed advice, support, or someone to listen, I made myself available. I never kept score because that's what friends do. Over the past year, however, I've noticed that our relationship feels very one-sided. My friend regularly calls when they have problems, need favors, or want emotional support. But when I'm going through something difficult, they often are unavailable, distracted, or quick to change the subject. A few weeks ago, they reached out asking for another favor. For the first time, I politely declined. Since then, things have been awkward. They seem hurt, and I'm starting to wonder if our friendship was built more on what I could provide than on genuine mutual care and respect. My question for the panel is this: at what point does setting healthy boundaries become necessary, even if it risks damaging a friendship? How can you tell the difference between a friendship that is going through a rough patch and one that has become one-sided? Thank you for your thoughts and advice.
You can maybe go first.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm gonna let you go first. Yes.
All right.
Would you like to tackle the first question first, or you want to go ahead and just?
Was there more than one question?
There was
a lot. There's a lot to unpack there.
Yeah.
As far as healthy boundaries, we'll start there. Was that the last question?
Yeah. Basically,
I don't know if I have any answers, but I know a lot about this. I've been single for a really long time, so I know
so
about
you are
healthy
single.
boundaries.
So women, he's single.
My thought as you were reading that was we've all, at least me, we've all been there, right? At least I have. And my first two thoughts were, and I was trying to picture myself in that situation. And my first thought was, at the end of the day, who am I and how do I treat people? I can't control how other people treat me. And then my second thought was when they were talking about turning down whatever their friend needed, I thought how many times I have done something that I thought I was going to do the right thing, and then I felt horrible afterwards. Because at the end of the day, that wasn't me. And if someone called, so I don't know if there's a right or wrong answer. And the whole healthy boundary thing in my life is really, I have found really, really tough. I don't have those answers. Maybe you do, but I would, if it were me, I would just try to be the type of person that I want to be.
Yeah. I had to say that finding a healthy boundary is obviously it changes from person to person.
Yeah,
right?
true.
And I think that depends on how much a person is willing to accept.
Yeah.
Right. Because if you're in a relationship or a situationship or anything like that, and it gets to a point where you feel like the person is taking advantage of you,
Yep.
the longer you allow that to happen, the worse you're going to feel and the worse it's going to become. So if you figure out, that's what's happening, then you set those boundaries and either end it or make sure it gets better.
Yeah, I agree with that. And maybe there's a happy medium to where you don't just ignore a person. But again, you have boundaries, and sometimes you're going to say no, and sometimes you might be able to help them, but maybe you limit how much energy you're willing to spend on something like that.
And the other part of the question was, how can you tell the difference between a friendship and that is going through a rough patch and one that has become one-sided? So that's a slippery slope, because sometimes you don't really know, right? Because it can transition easily, and over time it becomes the norm, and you don't even realize that's what's happening.
Yeah, I don't know that there's an answer for that. I sure don't. I'm not going to have one. That's might be something we're not going to know. We just have to do the best we can, and time maybe will tell us. I do feel like time teaches us a lot and tells us a lot.
Do you feel like you have a difficult time letting someone go?
Oh yeah,
You do.
absolutely.
So that would be an issue for you because obviously you would accept more than
Yes,
you normally would. And-
yes,
Wow.
absolutely. But I've also have felt bad about pushing someone away or letting them go.
Because you had to, though. Did you feel like you had to?
Or just maybe not being there for them when they needed someone. Let's simplify it a little bit. Thinking I'm standing up for myself and having boundaries, and that's very, very complicated gray area that I don't have the answers for. Obviously, you want to stand up for yourself, and obviously you want to have boundaries.
Right, and
that's healthy.
Right, and the bottom line is making sure that you don't damage who you are as an individual, right? It doesn't impact your character, right? It doesn't impact your mental state. There's a number of things that it can impact, right? And the next thing you know, you find yourself not yourself anymore, right? You're not who you used to be,
Absolutely.
right? Because you become so consumed with someone else's
Absolutely
issues or whatever. So let's get back to real estate. So we've talked about your story, the housing market, first-time home buyers, selling a home, investing in real estate, the human side of real estate, common myths, financial advice, and let's talk about community. What neighborhoods are growing the fastest in this area, would you say?
good question. And I haven't done new construction in 10 years, so I might not be the one to ask. You know, the south side of Chesapeake's just blown up crazy over the last few years. Every time you think they'll run out of room in Virginia Beach, they just tear something down and build new, and now they just build up instead of out. But I'd say so. Even if you looked at data, Chesapeake and Virginia Beach would be the main areas. You know, I remember when I started working at Town Center 25, 30 years ago, building buildings, and there was nothing here, and now look at it.
Yeah. You remember back in the day when nothing was open on Sundays? Hardly anything was open on
yeah.
Sundays.
Yeah, and we had blue law too. Like you couldn't buy alcohol, or you couldn't buy it before noon or something like that.
Sad time.
You go to 7-Eleven. Well, I didn't drink back then, so it didn't affect me. But yeah, you go to 7-Eleven on Sunday and the coolers are locked.
Yeah.
They have padlocks on them.
Times have changed. I mean, the roads. The city has a lot of potential. And when I say cities, I'm talking about the 7 cities.
Yeah.
I mean, but we lack a lot of things. Like, for instance, we don't have a major pro team or anything like that, right? Our airport is way too small.
Yeah.
There's a number of things that definitely we need to improve.
It is a shame because if the 7 cities were able to come together,
we can do great things.
we would be crazy good.
So what makes a neighborhood a good investment? Because obviously, when you have a neighborhood with a good school and all this other stuff, what would be considered like a good investment in a neighborhood? Like
another good question, great question. Obviously, school probably drives that number one for anyone who has kids or wants to have kids. It's difficult for me to answer because I feel like any home's a good investment as long as you do it right, because you can't just look at dollar value. Because in the neighborhoods that have the schools that aren't rated as well, you're going to pay less. So there's still investment there, and you buy in cheaper than if you're in more expensive neighborhoods.
But some areas are a bad investment. You could say that, right?
Okay. Yes.
Okay.
I won't say it as a real estate agent.
Okay.
But I can't. But you can.
Right. And I mean, terrible investment, right? Because the value of the home is not good. The chances of you selling it may not be good either, and so it's a lot. The crime.
I'm not disagreeing with you, but I could also give you cases of certain neighborhoods that I've seen in the last 2 or 3 years. Again, they turn over. They start buying these houses that were bad neighborhoods, and they're tearing them down and building new construction. Yes, exactly. Build new construction, and all of a sudden they're selling them for $350,000. And in 5 years you had one. Now you've got a whole street full of new construction. So yes, what I tell my clients is do your research. There's a lot of information online about crime and schools, rating schools, and all that. So there's a lot of legal ramifications for me to try to guide them, and that's not really, again, if that's not my lane, I try to stay in my lane. But there's tons of information out there. So my number one thing I say is just do your research.
That's right. So technology.
I mean, people do research to go buy a new TV. Find out, do the same thing when you buy a house. Just do your research.
Well, yeah, that makes sense, right? Because you're going to be there for a while. It's probably the biggest investment or biggest purchase you'll make in your life, right?
Usually is, yeah.
You have to definitely think about that. Like technology, how has technology changed the real estate business?
It's changed dramatically. Even 12 years ago when I got into it, Zillow, the Zillows of the world were in, but nothing like it is now. It's made my job easier because I can move quicker and be more efficient. And it's made it a whole lot easier for buyers and sellers because they can do a lot of their research sitting at home or at work on their phone or computer and see basically anything on the MLS that's available. When I have a client, let's just say I have a buyer, I set them up on a search and I send them everything that fits their criteria. But I do tell them, like, if you see something else pop up, let me know, because I could miss something. If you think about before then, we were riding around. I wasn't, because I was in real estate, but real estate agents were riding around with a map and a list of houses.
We all had maps.
Map and a list of houses that were for sale, and that's how you found the houses. So it's just like everything else, it's made everything so much easier and right in front of us in our hand, where we can just be very efficient and move quickly. Yeah,
like the virtual tours, right? The AI virtual tours, you can actually see the entire inside and everything.
It's a good point as well. Yep, virtual tours, maps, drone videos. I encourage my clients to, if they see an address and they don't know the neighborhood, get on Google Maps and look through the neighborhood. Go up and down the street and see what the other houses look like. Yeah, technology, it's definitely changed real estate for the good.
So quick fire rounds, is this what I call? So buy or rent?
Renting, there's nothing wrong with renting, but I think it should be a short-term solution. I don't. If you could keep from doing it, you don't want to rent for 20 years. But to rent 1 to 5 years, I think it's a short-term solution that a lot of people need. Maybe while you're working on your credit, or maybe waiting for that. If you're a young person and you just started a new job, it might take you a couple of years to build your income up as you move up the ladder. So I'm not against rent at all, but I don't think it should be a long-term solution. I think you should look at it more towards a short-term solution.
So let me ask you a question. If, let's just say a person was 60 years old, they never had a home, or they did have one before. At what age would you say it's not, I wouldn't say a good idea, but at what age would you say buying a home is not really productive?
I actually have personal experience with this. There isn't one, because I've had clients older than that were buying their first home because federal guidelines, they can't discriminate against age. So they can't look at someone and go, well, you're not going to last long enough to pay this off. So the older you are, go get your biggest mortgage you can. Because if you're not around, if you don't live long enough to pay it off, what do you care?
But at the same time, you got to be able to make those payments, right?
No, of course. You want to stay within your budget. Right. One example I remember was one of my first clients 12 years ago, and I was a married couple. I think both of them had been widowed at one point. They're married and had never owned a home, and they were up in age, and they had like $100,000 they were going to put down on a home, and I told them, look, like, I'm no financial advisor, but talk to your loan officer about that. And what they realized was they were a lot better keeping that money in the bank at their age for emergencies,
right? And
get the mortgage. But they had that mindset originally of, I'm too old to get a 30-year mortgage. Well, there's no age limit to getting a 30-year mortgage. Is the answer.
Okay.
Or a 15-year, 20-year, whatever you want.
Right. So new construction or older home?
It's just a matter of what your wants and needs are. I've had clients that started with older homes, and eventually we realized, okay, for what you want, we need to go to new construction. But the new construction is usually the more expensive avenue. So, but again, it's just about what your wants and needs are. If schools are what's most important to you, or a certain area for work, then there might not be any new construction. You might, or it might not be in your budget, so you'll have to buy an older home.
And one thing I want to bring up, if you're going to buy an older home, you got to think about, like the age of the AC unit. You got to think about a lot of stuff that can go wrong. In addition to paying your mortgage, I mean, you may have to all of a sudden do repairs.
Yeah,
and that's going to eat into your finances as well.
Yeah, there's some maintenance there, but me as an agent would recommend doing home inspection and doing your due diligence the best we can before we close on that. And there's guidelines in the contracts and stuff that we offer that give you time to do all that.
What's your favorite room in the house?
It probably changes. Right now, my office.
Your office, okay.
And all I do is work.
Okay.
I over the years I like cooking, so I've gotten into kitchen more. But I spend most of my time in the office. I'm always either watching your YouTube videos or working.
Beach or mountains?
Oh, I forgot. This is fast. I forgot. Beach.
Beach. Coffee or tea?
Coffee.
I'm a coffee guy as well.
That's a sweet tea.
Your dream city to own a home in? I don't know if it's here, but maybe it's somewhere else.
St. Petersburg, Florida.
Really? Is that where you see yourself, like retiring at some point?
I thought it was, and I have friends that live there now. But my parents aren't getting any younger, and maybe down the road. Maybe down the road. But yeah, St. Petersburg, Florida, I thought was going to be my retirement plan.
It can be, right?
It can be.
If listeners remember one thing from today's conversation, what would you want it to be? We spoke about a lot of stuff.
Right? Yeah, we did. I'll stick to real estate on this since that was our main theme. I guess don't be afraid. Just reach out to a loan officer or a real estate agent. They'll get you in front of a loan officer. You call me, text me, email me. Just get it going. I started a diet back in February, and first thing I did, I just got up in the morning and started walking. So just get the process going. It's not as scary as you think it is.
Basically,
just start walking.
Right. So if you have a desire to own, make it happen, right? You might have to take slow steps, right? Start saving. You might have to do a lot of research to find the type of home that you want, that you're looking for. But if you have that goal to be a homeowner, make sure you take the steps to do it.
Even if your goal's a year or two from now, talk to a professional and get a game plan together, because you might be doing the wrong thing for 2 years. And then 2 years from now, you're no better off than you were beforehand. So even then, even if you're not looking to buy today or sell today, talk to a professional and get a good game plan together.
So I especially like ending with something reflective.
Okay.
A house is something you purchase, but a home is something you build. From your experience, helping so many people through this journey, what does home truly mean to you?
You trying to get me to cry before we end?
I like to keep it real.
For me, it's about family. I think about my son. He's 22 now, but I've always made sure that he knows he has a place to lay his head if he needs to. If you think about family dinners or your parents coming to visit or you going to visit them, that's always. I grew up in a little bit of unique family, but the homes are where we would gather, whether it was my aunt and uncle, cousins, grandparents, whatever. That's just kind of where the house is kind of where the home comes together at.
And this is where your parents live, you say?
It was that's a complicated tree, but yeah, my aunt and uncle growing up was like the main place everybody would go after Sunday and have dinner and stuff.
So at one spot, basically, just at one location that everybody just meet up at.
Yep.
And have
Yep.
family time.
Even friends and family would come over. Like, to me, that's what a home is.
I think a lot of places, a lot of families are missing that right now.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Because back in the day, people would get together more. Now everybody's just so isolated, right? They keep to themselves, and
but we have food delivered. We're not cooking with each other anymore. I agree.
Is there anything you want to ask me? Because we spoke about a lot. Right? We talked about a lot of stuff.
Tell me about your next book. What are you working on?
Oh, so Syrup Sandwiches, Choose Not to Give Up. I'm working on another book called Syrup Sandwiches, The Man I Chose to Become. And that's going to be very reflective in so much that as an adult, I'm reaching back to that kid that I was back then, going through the things that I was going through, and trying to basically talk to that kid and see how he felt back then compared to what I know now as an adult.
Yeah.
And how what I've gone through as a kid, how did it have an influence or impact on the man that I became today? And obviously, a lot of the stuff that I did go through made me who I am today, right? The struggles made me a caring person,
right?
The challenges made me, just being able to know that no one's perfect and find a level of forgiveness because everybody is flawed, right? So
yeah,
I've learned a lot. And so my mother recently died in January, and as I'm writing this book, it hits really hard because my mother was very, very strong, and I realized it even as a child, but even now as an adult, when I look back and those times when she didn't have food and we had a little bit and she didn't eat anything, she was doing that because she wanted us to have.
Yeah.
And so she was very strong, even though her life was, to me, was really, really, really difficult. But I learned a lot.
I look forward to reading it one day too.
Yeah, it'll be a little while. Hopefully before the end of the year is my goal. I would like to read another letter. How much time do we have? It's on that clock right there back for us.
7 minutes, a little more than 7 minutes.
Well, I'm gonna read this. It's kind of, this is gonna hit home real quick. Please keep my identity anonymous. I have carried this question in my heart for years, and I still don't know the answer. When I was a child, there was someone in my life who meant everything to me. They weren't rich. They weren't famous. They didn't have much to give, but somehow they always found a way to make me feel safe.
Mm-hmm.
When life was hard, they protected me. When I was scared, they comforted me. When I felt like I wasn't good enough, they reminded me that I mattered. As a child, I thought they would always be there, but life doesn't always work that way. As I got older, I became busy, schoolwork, relationships, responsibilities. There was always something demanding my attention. I would tell myself I would call tomorrow. I would visit next week. I would spend more time with them when things slowed down. The problem is that things never slowed down. The phone calls became less frequent. The visits became shorter. The excuses became easier. And yet, every time we spoke, they never complained. They never made me feel guilty. They simply told me they loved me and were proud of me. Then one day I received a call that so many of us fear. They were gone. Just like that. No final conversation, no chance to say everything I should have said, no opportunity to thank them for all the sacrifices they made, no way to tell them how much of a person I became because of them. For a long time, I thought grief was about missing someone. I was wrong. Grief is also living with the things you never said. It's hearing the voice in your memory and wishing you could hear it one more time. It's reaching for the phone before remembering there's no number to call. It's wanting 5 more minutes with someone you once took for granted. The hardest part
not there.
It's knowing that while you were here, they never asked for much. They didn't want expensive gifts. They didn't want money. They didn't want perfection. They just wanted time.
Yeah.
And that's one thing I can never get them now. My question for the panel is this. How do you forgive yourself for the love you felt but didn't express enough? How do you make peace with the fact that someone you gave so much left this world, knowing only a fraction of what they truly meant to you? And for anyone listening tonight who still has that person in their life, what are you waiting for? Call them, visit them, tell them you love them, because one day I'll do it tomorrow becomes a regret that lasts forever.
That's deep. Great letter. Great letter.
That's deep, right?
Whoever sent that, great letter.
Yeah.
And I've been guilty of that myself. I'm always start from the last and move forward. You're right. Learn from it. Reach out to the people you still do have and enjoy time with them.
That's about what I was talking about with the family and not being together anymore.
Yeah.
Right?
The second question was, how do you deal with it?
How do you deal with it? Right. How do you forgive yourself for the love you felt you didn't express enough?
What was after that? That's where I'm
How
going.
do you make peace with the fact that someone you gave so much left this world, knowing only that you gave a fraction?
You make peace by forgiving yourself.
Right.
And one of the hardest things we do, especially I know you and men, we're hard on ourselves, and it's really hard. I'm real quick to forgive someone else, but it's really hard for me to forgive myself.
Yeah.
So you find peace by forgiving yourself. Find a way to forgive yourself. And I'm guessing this person in your life would want you to do that, would be my guess, if they cared that much about you.
Right. Right. And I think I said this recently that grief is a really, really challenging thing because everyone handles grief differently. And, even the grief that I'm going through, it's a little bit, it's not, I don't think it's as bad. The only reason why I say that is because I know that I've been there for my mom, right? I was always there for her. I spent, all the time that I needed with her.
Yeah.
And since she was really ill at the time of her death, I didn't want her to keep suffering. Yeah. So she's no longer suffering. I was there for her, so I don't have any regrets, right? And a lot of times people are stricken with grief really hard because maybe they didn't spend that quality time with her, right? Maybe they didn't get along well. And so there's a number of different factors that impact people's grief.
Yeah.
Right. So how much time?
2 minutes.
All right. So I'm about to get ready to wrap it up. Any final words? What do you think about the interview?
Had a great time. I don't get to see you very often. We text every once in a while.
We'll change that, yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's much my fault as anything.
Mine too.
It's great seeing you. I'm very proud of you.
Thank you.
As a veteran, as a son, as a dad, as a husband, and now as a businessman. I think you give a great example of who to be as a human being, and I love that you try to set example for young men out there to be better men as they grow. So I just want you to know I appreciate you, and I love you. I think you're one of my brothers.
Thank you so much, my man. Appreciate you. Thank you for those kind words. Appreciate it. I'm glad you were able to make it. And it was my honor to host you and be here. And please come back again. And
I would love that.
So for everyone listening, I hope you have a wonderful evening. And thank you for hanging out with me. It's been a great time. And till next time. Till next time.
Thank you for tuning in to today's episode of the Books by Anthony Owens podcast show. We hope this was a conversation that truly inspired you and gave you something meaningful to carry forward. We appreciate you spending this time with us, learning, growing,